Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to discuss topics that you can, have a conversation around with someone you're dating. So when you're dating, it's a really good time to get some insight into who someone is, to learn a lot more about that person, because you're trying to make that decision about whether or not it's a relationship that you want to pursue with the person, or you're going to end it right where it is, or do you see yourself actually get into a relationship with the person. And so sometimes it could be difficult and somewhat invasive to ask people certain direct questions, but a lot of times there are ways you can go around and ask and talk about certain things, certain topics that will still give you some insight into who the person is. Some people are really straightforward. They're going to just kind of tell you everything and they don't hold back. Some people, might be a little bit more reserved, and it takes them a longer period of time to open up to you. And so these are some good topics. I have a list of topics that I'm going to share with you. Topics that I think are a really good idea for you to bring these up as you're getting to know someone. All right, so let's jump into it. One of the first ones I have, and it's pretty straightforward, and you might not think you might get a whole lot from it, but it's simply just to ask someone, what is your favorite book? Right? What is your favorite book? First of all, you know if they read at all, right? And so right there out the gates, you know something about them. But what is your favorite book, and why is it your favorite book? All right. Obviously, the why is where you really get the substance into getting some insight into who the person is, the explanation of why this book, whether it's political, non-political, fiction, non-fiction, you know, poetry, whatever the book is, right? And it gives you some kind of romantic love story or whatever the case is, a thriller, it gives you some insight into who the person really is as they explain and hopefully offer you details into why this is their favorite book. Because a lot of times when someone's talking about their favorite something, they're giving you indications of what they like, right? Of what they like. So you're already getting some insight into what the person likes as they're talking about their favorite whatever. So it could be a favorite book. You could also maybe talk about their favorite sport. I didn't have that one in mind when I started this video, but as I'm talking about favorites right now, what's your favorite sport? That would be something as well that you could probably bring up. And why is it your favorite sport? Again, it's in the details. Is it that they like teamwork and working together? Is it that they're very individualistic in the way they do things? And it may not be, or it may, but again, it's in how they explain that sort of stuff. You can find, and don't go looking for too much, but at the same time, what I'm saying is, as people explain things, you really have to listen, because when we talk about things that we're passionate about, in a lot of ways we're giving certain identifiers about who we are. And so if you're one of those people who are really good at listening, when someone's talking about their favorite sport or their favorite book or their favorite food and they're explaining to you why it is so, it gives you a really good amount of insight into who that person is. So that would be a couple so far. The other one I always ask in my life coaching classes that I do, right? Because I do a lot of life coaching classes, soft skills classes. And one thing I always love to ask is, so if you won the lottery, what would you do right now? Like, what would you do with all that money? If you just all of a sudden have $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, the mega millions, $100 million, whatever it is, what would you do with that money right now? Because you probably have heard that a significant amount of people who win the lottery go broke within a certain amount of years. I think it's most people who win the lottery go broke within a certain amount of time, but I know it's a significant number. So why is that? Because that rush of cash just coming in, right? And being able to handle all of that. And as you know, when we have money, money brings power. And how do people react when they have money, which is power? They're kind of one and the same, right? How is someone going to respond now when they have that power at their fingertips and they're able to purchase whatever they want to purchase, or do whatever they want to do, that sort of thing? So what is the person going to do? Again, that gives you some great indication into who this person really is just by the way they spend money. There's a saying that if you really want to know who someone is, look at how they spend their time and their money. Right? Look at how someone spends their time and their money. Those are two precious commodities. What do you do with your time, and what do you do with your money? Those are two precious commodities. So I think the money question really gets to the heart of, and you need money in relationships too, right? For relationships to survive, you also need money, right? Try being in a relationship without no money, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So what would you do if you win the lottery? I think that also gives you a really good indication of who that person is. Now, for all you romantic people out there, you can ask, what do you consider a romantic date? Like, what is your ideal setting of a romantic date? What does that look like? Again, it gets into whether or not the person is even romantic. Some people are not very romantic. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're not nice people. It's just that some people look at romance in a different type of way. And it's good because when you ask someone that, you realize a lot about not just who they are, but who they are specifically with regards to that one thing in a relationship. Because some people, they want the romance and the wine, the dine, and the this and all that sort of stuff. And for some people, life is just like they see things differently, and they don't quite necessarily consider that as being necessary in a relationship. So when you talk about, what is your ideal idea of a romantic date, a romantic setting, it gives you some really good insight into how that person visualizes that particular aspect of relationship or love. I think that's another good question that you can ask someone. Now, this is a tricky one, uh, but I've done a lot of reading and I've seen it out there also, and it's, why would you end a relationship? Or what would cause you to end a relationship with someone? All right, what would cause you to end a relationship? Again, maybe beyond them just telling you that I will end a relationship because you cheat, or, well, not you, but when you're talking to them, I mean, but because someone cheats or whatever the case is, you might get some insight into, maybe, is this person really the kind of person who's interested in long-term type of relationships. Now, again, a lot of people are going to give you answers you're looking for, right? When you're asking these questions, sometimes people, uh, depending on the question itself, some people are just going to give you the answer that you're looking for. But if you ask someone, what will cause you to end a relationship, I think it also gives you an insight into how they look at relationship, and it's what they value, right? What they value a lot in a relationship, right? And which is another direct question that you can ask, is what do you value in a relationship? And also, another way to ask that is by saying, well, what will cause you to end a relationship? And when they say what will cause them to end, it could also tell you what they value. So if you didn't want to directly ask them what they value in a relationship, well, just ask them what will cause them to end a relationship. And a lot of times they'll kind of give you the same sort of answer in terms of, well, this is what will cause me to end a relationship. All right, so let me see what else I got here. So I've got a list of questions. Okay, what is your biggest regret? All right, what would you say is your biggest regret or biggest mistake that you've made so far in your life? A lot of people are not going to want to answer that question because it might get really personal, and it might be something that's so personal that they're not ready at that stage of a relationship, because relationships go through different stages, and at different stages you're able to talk about different types of things. And maybe that's a video I need to do as well, the different stages of a relationship. because at the different stages, a lot of times people are more forthcoming and are more willing to just give you more information about certain types of things. But what is your biggest regret? If you're able to get someone to answer that, it opens again a window into their past. And now you're interested in the future, but it's good to know who someone is, right? And getting that window into their past gives you a good indication of who the person is as well. So when someone talks about their biggest regret, and you ask them, so why is it your biggest regret, right? It's the details that you're looking for, and realizing, maybe it's something that they would then go on to tell you that they grew from, that this caused them to grow up, they matured, because they made this mistake, and they don't ever plan to make this mistake again. That sort of stuff would be able to help you. All right, let's see here. What else can I pull from my list? Okay, what is something that uh, really that worries you? What worries you the most? Right? What worries you the most? And that gives you an indication of what someone perhaps constantly has on their mind. So, what worries you the most gives you an indication of what someone might constantly have on their mind. It might also be an indication of what someone is working toward and what they're currently dealing with, right? So, you might not be able to again, depending on the stage in the relationship you are with someone, kind of pry into what they're dealing with right now. But if you were to ask them, that question in terms of what worries you the most, then it tells you maybe in the present moment what they're really dealing with and what concerns them going forward. And it might be their career. It might be someone who, hates their job, and so they're looking for a new work, a new line, a new career, something like that. Someone who just wants to get out of their situation because they want to live a better life, not just for themselves but their family. And so that might be a way you get them to open up and talking about their family and all that sort of stuff. So what worries you the most, I think, really gets into, now it might be really personal. Again, you might not get an answer, but if you do, then it really gets into, again, it gives you some insight into who that person is. All right, let me see. I have a long list. I'm going to do one more. All right, so this is kind of the obvious one. It's like, what are your dreams? What are your goals? Because this is a clear direction into that person's future. What are your dreams? What are your goals? And based on this response, now if the person ain't got no goals, they got no dreams, that tells you a whole lot about that person. And it lets you know again what you're getting yourself into. But what are your dreams? What are your goals? And that gives you, as I said, a window into the future. So then, can you see yourself, walking into the future or marching into the future with this person based on those goals and dreams and stuff that they've outlined for themselves? Or have they accomplished them already, depending on at what point you met them in their life? So you might ask them, what were your dreams and your goals, or what are your dreams and your goals? Because some people may have already accomplished some certain things, and so maybe you can ask them also, what's their biggest accomplishment in life so far? So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment in life so far? And it tells you about what someone is passionate about, and stuff that they're willing to work toward or to do. So those are just some questions that I would suggest that you can ask when you're dating someone, as you're trying to get to know them. If you've got other suggestions for good questions, just leave them in your comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Please turn on your post notifications, because I post almost every single day. Also, don't forget to hit the share button, and don't forget to like, because those two things really do help the channel grow. I appreciate if you do that for me. And leave your suggestions for videos as well. You can leave them here, or you can send them to my Instagram. My Instagram is right there. My Instagram handle is right there also in the comments. So Until next time, be good. Peace.